Shalom, shalom. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Yahweh. Um, Shout out to the apostles of Great Millstone. Because another live lesson. Um, really theme today, and I like all the tribes are guilty, but this is more or less, pointed to um, all you so-called blacks, um, Native Americans, and Latinos. This is Yahweh saying his message through the prophet Amos, talking to the children of Israel, and that which was then is now. So you can understand these prophecies and these messages from the prophets. These are for your learning. Actually, let me get a couple of terms. First, we do kind of Ecclesiastes 3:15 says, um, "That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been, and Yahweh requireth that which is past." So, that which was then is now. And if you understand, how we come back, then, this makes sense. But just to put in the context, as we're, learning and continue to be edified through these scriptures, that's an important, context of what, how we can have a greater understanding. Because, this is talking to you, you know. We'll start from verse 1. It says, "I hear this word that the Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth." He said that he's only known us, the children of Israel, one family, one nation, out of the entire earth, But that there's something attached to that, So therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities, So punishing us for all our iniquities, man. That's harkening back to Deuteronomy chapter 28. And here we see the blessings for obedience, but then, we see the consequences for disobedience. You see, just read Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of Yahweh thy God, the Lord power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So some of these curses is, for us to be destroyed. And the prophets prophesied about this, uh, you know, very specifically in a lot of situations, a lot of cases. That which was then is now, as the prophets were experiencing captivity. We're also experiencing captivity here. It's talked about in Egypt, and this is referenced as Egypt. Let's see, we can go right back to uh, Deuteronomy 28, talking about Egypt. Um, and Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again. And what is Egypt? And if you look at Egypt, what it means, bring to Egypt again, it's a Misrahim, and just to kind of get to the root word of it, double straights. You in a Matsor, siege, entrapment, to bondage, besieged. So I think, when you think of Egypt, we're going to be returning to Egypt, returning to bondage. And we know, that the children of Israel, were there, in captivity, and Yahweh saved them. But, it says, "And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again," this time through ships. We weren't brought to Egypt through ships the first time, you know. So this is talking about, now. That which was then is now. All right, back to most. "Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Shall a trumpet," I'm going to jump down to 6. "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city?" Amos chapter 3, verse 6. "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be? There's this warning. There's this warning going out. Just as all the prophets, as prophesied, and the prophets here today, you know, are telling us that, you know what I mean. Like, it's the trump. When you hear that trumpet, that's like war. That's like make ready for war. Put on your armor. There's danger coming. Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord had not done it? The Lord brings salvation and destruction. And that's going to come during the visitation, the day of the Lord. And just like, and this information is being, revealed now. Jumping to verse 7, truly the Lord power, the Most High will do nothing, but He revealeth His secrets unto His servants, the prophets. So a lot of this information, this ain't what by and large people have grown to know and have been taught in these fallacies of institutions and these religions and this wine, of this age, you know. But this information, this wisdom, through the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh is revealed unto His prophets, and they're blowing the trumpet, pursuant to verse 6. Back to verse 6, and no one's afraid, you know. Come down. And what should we be afraid of? You see, verse 12. Thus said Yahweh, as a shepherd taken out of the mouth of the lion 2 legs, uh, or a piece of an ear, so shall the children of Israel be taken out that dwell in Samaria in the corner of a bed, and the Damascus on the couch. You niggas are at ease. You on the bed, on the couch, in the corner of the bed, chilling. Not knowing what's like. It's the days of Noah, when men is marrying and eating and just being married, and not understanding this flood is coming. But by the power of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, this ark is getting built, which is the temple of Yahushua. Going on to the 14th, that in that day that I shall visit the transgressions of Israel. Visiting the transgressions of Israel, upon him I will also visit the altars of Bethel, and the horns of the altar shall be cut off and fall to the ground. We've been off. We've been off. All these altars, all these things that we're doing here, that we're sacrificing to, that we're obeying. That's law. This worldly, this desire, from a stiff necked people. This our pride that has allowed us to drift away from the knowledge of our Father Yahweh. So I mean, but this trouble that's coming, and it will be indicative of the people to listen, to this trumpet that's being blown, instead of sticking to their pride, to the pride that has plagued us, plagued the children of Israel, plagued this nation, for a long time. It's always been our pride. We've always been, talked about as the stiff-necked people. Uh, but what's coming is serious. But we will be saved from that, the elect, the people that hold, close to this truth. Let me look at that here while I'm talking about it. Yeah, this is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 4 through 7. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. When we talk about Israel and Judah, that's the northern and the southern kingdom. That's the whole kingdom. That's all 12 tribes. Just like back in Amos, it's like all tribes are guilty. This is what this indictment is. So these words are for everybody, for the so-called blacks, the so-called Latinos, the so-called Native Americans. For thus said Yahweh, we have heard a voice trembling of fear and not of peace. You niggas think this is gonna be peace coming? It's sword. I think Yahweh said, I came not to bring peace, but a sword. See if I can look it up real quick. Matthew 10, verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. This is Yahweh Shai talking. You know, Back to it. Salakia. Back to verse 5. Jeremiah 30, verse 5. For thus saith Yahweh, we have heard a voice trembling of fear and not of peace. Verse 6. Ask ye now and see whether man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman travail, and all the faces are turned into paleness. All the faces. All the faces, men. Men. Gonna be like a woman travailing with child. That's the type of the type of trembling and fear that's coming. Something that the world has never seen before. Alas, verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And that's the glory and the salvation that we have with Yahweh and our belief, in this faith, in Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, and our access back to the Father, so we can really understand what salvation here. Salvation, man, is not what y'all been learned to know. You need salvation now. You need salvation from what's coming. Turn on the loose. That's Jacob's trouble. Who is Jacob? Jacob is you so-called blacks. You tribe of Judah. You so-called West Africans. That's been through 400 years of slavery. That's been through the civil rights movement. What's coming is Jacob's trouble. Something that the world has never seen before. That's what's coming. And this is the generation. This generation will not pass until these things have been, and that's coming. That's right here. That's now. Hearken to the prophets. You know, they're for our use right now. Let's see that. 14. Romans chapter 15, verse 4. I'll end it here. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. That is our hope in these days. Yahweh says that we're going to go through the same about Jacob trouble. I will save you from it. That's hope. So what do you got to do to get that hope? You got to come out of her, you my people. Don't be weighed down in the multitude of your sins. Be holy. Understand the way back is through Yahweh Shai. Understand who you are. Understand what you got to do. Understand the iniquities of your father. Pray for these things. You should be repenting right now. You should be mourning right now. I hope this lesson was edifying to you brothers and sisters in the truth. Shalom.